And what could be one of the more competitive congressional races in California, Democrat Will Rollins plans to challenge longtime Republican Congressman Ken Calvert, who will be seeking re-election in a new district that includes most of the Coachella Valley. News Channel 3's Peter Doubt spoke with Rollins about why he's running and the issues that matter to him most.
Well, first off, tell us why you're running for Congress.
Well, I wanted to work in national security as a kid because of September 11th. I wanted to serve my country, but couldn't. Don't ask, don't tell was still in place. So I didn't enlist in the military, knew that I would have to find a different path to service. Took me a long time to finally get to national security, but put myself through Dartmouth, Columbia Law School, and then got eventually hired as a federal prosecutor here in the Central District of California, and got a chance to help protect all the people in Riverside County from some of the biggest threats that we face, but noticed a huge trend in the rise in domestic extremism over the past several years, culminating in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And when Congressman Calvert, the day after 140 police officers were injured in that attack and 5 deaths were later linked to it of police officers, as somebody who worked in law enforcement and cares about the rule of law, I felt like I wanted to challenge him because there are things that matter in this country more than political party, more than one president, and that is our institutions and the rule of law. And so that's why I decided to get in this race and challenge Ken Calvert.
If you are elected, what are the top issues that matter to you and how do you plan to address those issues?
So there are 2 things that are crucial, I think. One is having a leader who cares about ending the systemic divisions that are making it impossible for the country to govern itself. And I come from a family of Republicans and Democrats, and something that I was taught from a very young age is that the Constitution, freedom of press, what people fought and died to give us an incredible place to live in the United States, those things transcend party. And we need leaders to step up with specific plans to end the divisions that are ripping the country apart. So that's a huge part of what I've been talking about the campaign. But the other piece to this is somebody who can deliver for our community. I was 8 years old when Ken Calvert was first elected in 1992. And over the past 30 years, wages have stagnated in Riverside County. The average annual income is $97,000 per year. Meanwhile, the top echelons of the United States have seen astronomical increases in income. And that's thanks to policies of people like Ken Calvert. And I think we need somebody who's going to deliver for our communities with tax relief for working families, and to build our infrastructure here, whether it's the 15 corridor in Corona or Bundy Road in Menifee or bringing rail access to the Coachella Valley. Ken Calvert has failed consistently for the last 3 decades to deliver for the people who actually live here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you recently moved to Palm Springs.
Yes, my partner and I just moved here from Canyon Lake. I'm a Southern California native, always loved Palm Springs. It's been incredible to be here and be so welcomed by the LGBTQ community and the leadership here, who have been incredibly helpful in, getting me up to speed on local issues that matter to the people who live here, and to just be in such an incredible place to live. Every morning I wake up, I feel very, very lucky to be here.
Do you think it's going to be a tough race against Ken Calvert?
I think what surprised me is how many Republicans and moderates are ready for change too, because I think everybody wants new leaders and bold ideas to help end the divisions that are posing a huge threat to the United States. Because if we can't meaningfully address those, our adversaries like Russia and China are all too eager to exploit them. And I think we want people in Congress who are capable of reaching across the aisle and bringing the country together. And so I think that's going to transcend political party. And I think some of the 90,000 no party preference voters in the new California 41 are going to be supporting leaders like that instead of people who support QAnon chaos.
Anything else, Will, you would like to say to the voters of the Coachella Valley?
I'm ready to work for you. And I think good leaders know how to listen. And one thing that we've not seen from Ken Calvert through the last 3 decades is responsiveness to our concerns. And that's why wages have stagnated. And look, inflation is a real thing, but the solution to inflation is not putting more money in the pockets of billionaires, which is exactly what Ken Calvert is going to do if he's reelected. I want to put more money in the pockets of the working families who actually live here, and to improve the infrastructure, education, and communities of Riverside County. And I am proud to be working hard to do that every single day. And I will do that if you give me the honor of representing you in Congress.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.